Just filed late this afternoon in connection with the gruesome death of a mother in the Bronx. Her body was found chopped up in bags. Two people now charged in this case, including her own son. Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Richardson is following developments from the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. Kimberly, tell us what you know.
Well, Diana, unlawful dissection of a body, that's what Bashid Mclean now has to think about. And police believe he did not act alone while cutting up his mother. A friend, William Harris, has now been charged with the same thing. Both men are now sitting here inside the 4-0 precinct. The questioning far from over.
It's too much. It's too much.
This is a first look inside Tanya Bird's building, where police say she was killed in her second-floor apartment. Her son, Bashid Mclean, with the help of a friend, William Harris, then allegedly cut up her body. Sources tell Eyewitness News surveillance tape then shows the pair carrying bags and suitcases out of the elevator and through the lobby, where a memorial now stands. Nathan Washington lives across the hall from Bird.
You never know about people. It's strange to happen.
The disturbing pieces of this puzzle, evidence in this case, police continue to find in Bird's home. Sources tell Eyewitness News pieces of a bloody mattress, a mop, and other cleaning supplies.
We always kept it simple, you know, never out of turn or nothing like that. She's just such a graceful, beautiful woman. She's going to be missed.
This case is turning into a classic one of he said, he said. Sources tell Eyewitness News Mclean and Harris blaming one another for the crime. Both have now been charged with unlawful dissection of a body. Police did find an electric saw inside apartment 2A and spent much of today spraying the unit with a substance that will detect blood, even if someone tries to get rid of it. Neighbors say Mclean seemed troubled.
I saw her younger child, but I never met her older one, and it's really sad, you know, just like out of left field, you know. You don't expect that from within your family, you know. That's really a heartbreak situation.
Now, both men have also now been charged with hindering prosecution. Sources tell me that they are also looking through Mclean's cell phone for possible pictures he took of his mother's mutilated body. Of course, this case is still developing, and all of those charges could be upgraded. For now, we're live in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. Kimberly Richardson, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
True Street Docs presents Bashid Mclean. Bashid Nathaniel Mclean is one of the most disturbing figures in recent American criminal history, known not for a long pattern of violence, but for a single act so extreme that it shocked New York City and drew international attention. His crime, the murder, dismemberment, and attempted disposal of his own mother, stands as a grim example of familial violence, psychological instability, and the limits of prevention. Early life and background. Bashid Mclean was born in 1986 and raised in the Bronx, New York. Publicly available information about his childhood is limited, but those who knew him described a young man who struggled to establish independence in adulthood. He lived with his mother, Tanya Bird, a 45-year-old healthcare worker, in a Bronx apartment. Their relationship was reportedly strained. Friends and family later described frequent arguments, particularly over Mclean's lack of employment, direction, and responsibility. Despite being in his mid-20s, Mclean remained financially and emotionally dependent on his mother, a situation that contributed to growing resentment. There is no public record of Mclean having a significant criminal history prior to the killing, nor evidence that he had established a stable career or long-term relationships. By all outward appearances, he was an unremarkable young man living a stagnant life, until February 2013. The murder of Tanya Bird. On February 15, 2013, inside their Bronx apartment, Bashid Mclean murdered his mother during a domestic argument. According to later court testimony and police findings, the argument escalated until Mclean stabbed Bird multiple times with a kitchen knife, killing her. What followed distinguished the crime from most homicides. After the killing, Mclean dismembered his mother's body using a power saw and knives. He separated her remains into bags, cleaning portions of the apartment in an apparent attempt to conceal evidence. He then placed the dismembered body parts into black garbage bags in a suitcase. Attempted disposal and arrest. Later that day, Mclean attempted to dispose of the remains. He was seen dragging a suitcase through the Bronx toward a nearby subway station. Surveillance footage and eyewitnesses noted that he appeared nervous and struggled with the heavy bag. Police officers stopped Mclean after observing suspicious behavior. When questioned, he gave inconsistent answers. Upon opening the suitcase, officers discovered human remains. Mclean was immediately taken into custody. Further investigation at the apartment revealed additional body parts, blood evidence, and tools used in the dismemberment. The crime scene confirmed that the killing and dismemberment had taken place over several hours. Charges and legal proceedings. Bashid Mclean was charged with second-degree murder, first-degree manslaughter, criminal possession of a weapon, tampering with physical evidence. From the outset, the case drew intense media scrutiny due to the nature of the crime and the relationship between the victim and the accused. Mclean's defense team raised questions about his mental health, arguing that he suffered from psychological disturbances that impaired his judgment. Prosecutors countered that the methodical dismemberment, cleanup efforts, and attempted disposal demonstrated awareness, intent, and consciousness of guilt. Conviction and sentencing. In December 2014, Bashid Mclean was convicted of second-degree murder and related charges. The jury rejected claims that he lacked criminal responsibility for his actions. In January 2015, Mclean was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, the maximum allowable under New York law for the conviction. He was also given additional concurrent sentences for weapons possession and evidence tampering. The judge emphasized the brutality of the crime and the violation of the fundamental trust between parent and child. Psychological and social impact. The murder of Tanya Bird deeply affected her family, co-workers, and the Bronx community. She was remembered as a hard-working mother who had tried to support her son despite ongoing conflict. The case sparked renewed public discussion about adult children living in prolonged dependency, untreated mental health issues, domestic violence within families, warning signs that go unreported or unaddressed. Unlike serial offenders, Mclean did not fit a recognizable criminal profile. His crime appeared rooted in a volatile domestic situation combined with emotional instability and resentment, rather than a long pattern of violence. Legacy and public memory. Bashid Mclean's name remains associated with one of New York City's most shocking single-victim homicides of the 2010s. The case is frequently referenced in true crime discussions as an example of how extreme violence can erupt within seemingly ordinary households. There is no evidence that Mclean has expressed public remorse or taken responsibility beyond the legal proceedings. He remains incarcerated, serving a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Conclusion. Bashid Mclean's story is not one of notoriety gained over time, but of sudden and irreversible collapse. It illustrates how unresolved personal conflict, dependency, and psychological distress can culminate in unimaginable violence. At its core, the case is a reminder that the most devastating crimes do not always come from strangers or hardened criminals, but sometimes from within the family itself. Mental health was a central issue at trial. Mclean's defense argued that he suffered from psychological problems that impaired his judgment at the time of the killing. Court-ordered psychiatric evaluations were conducted. Mental health professionals evaluated Mclean after his arrest. These evaluations did not conclude that he was psychotic, delusional, or legally insane. No insanity defense succeeded. The jury rejected any claim that Mclean lacked criminal responsibility. He was found capable of understanding his actions and their consequences. Prosecutors emphasized behavior showing awareness and control, including the methodical dismemberment of the body, attempts to clean the apartment, efforts to transport and dispose of the remains. These actions were cited as evidence of consciousness of guilt, not a psychotic break. Possible psychological traits discussed, but not diagnoses. Testimony and reporting referenced emotional immaturity, dependency, anger issues, and poor coping mechanisms. However, he was not diagnosed publicly with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or a major psychotic disorder. He was not committed to a psychiatric institution. He was sentenced to prison, not treatment confinement. Bottom line, Bashid Mclean may have had emotional and psychological dysfunction, but the court determined he was mentally competent, criminally responsible, and fully accountable for his actions. There is no official ruling that mental illness caused or excused the crime.